get you out here in the world, on the streets of the wrestling fandom. I couldn't do that to you guys, man. You guys pulled me out of the gutter of horrifyingly bad wrestling fans all around the social medias. You know, when I got on Threads way back in the day, that's already becoming a no-no word. Holy shit. How quickly times change. But we are back. And like I said, you know, when I started this little journey with you crazy fucking sickos, I was just a guy doing a fucking little bullshit podcast with my wife. And it was not really moving any sort of needles, you know, like many people that get into this quote unquote content creation universe. It is very discouraging. Like, you gotta fucking really love doing this for this. Not everyone is going to just immediately love what you're saying and doing. And, you know, wrestling is one of those things that when you think about it, it's very overly saturated. I will be the first to admit. I mean, this fucking marketplace right now of wrestling podcasts, ooh, there's a lot of bad ones out there, guys, and we've all heard them. You know, we've all heard the fucking Mouth of Louisville's podcast. We've all heard that Coper that lives in Wyoming that used to run a Time Warner company way back when. We've heard the Long Island moron go on and on about how he thought, you know, anyone could be a wrestler. We've heard those podcasts, and we understand that those suck. But I'll tell you what, sickosclub.com. I can finally say it because it's a thing. sickosclub.com. Those podcasts don't suck, okay? Those podcasts are fucking dope. You've, of course, got the Banner podcast, Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out. But the new one, and the one I'm very excited about, because two things. I am a huge fucking mark for like weird, absurdist art and like very Hunter S. Thompson-ish, for lack of a better word. And The Hard Way with Brett Michelle is the audio version of that. And I fucking love it. You know, a fellow punk rocker, fellow person that's all about DIY, doing it your way, doing it way fucking different than anybody else. And I like to believe that I kind of do that myself. Not on her level. She is, you know, she has reached, I think, introspective nirvana. You know what I mean? The shit that she talks about is the kind of shit you talk about when you are just good with yourself, when you've done serious introspection, aka maybe a little bit of hallucinogenics. Wouldn't know anything about that myself, but I will say this. Beautiful work going on over there at Sickos Club. And of course, the other cool thing about sickosclub.com is the writing section. They don't just fucking do audio. I love how I'm like doing this like they are making me an offer, like I'm doing this plug for anything. I'm not. I just love these people. I think they're fucking awesome. And, you know, for a long time, it's like we all sort of were like, ooh, do we kind of make it public that we've got this little side thing going on? They did the fucking website on their own. I have nothing to do with that. But just like in general, just like hanging out, it got to where on Threads, we kind of fucking sucked. And we just wanted to hang out with each other. And so that happened. And now it's become this like thing. It's a brand for them. And I think that's fucking awesome. And hey, man, I feel like I owe those people everything, because I'll say this, you know, this pod, I've been doing this pod now for, good Lord, I want to say, I mean, I'd have to go back in the archive for episode 1 of this thing, but we're going on several years. I mean, I want to say maybe, oh, you know what? I do believe, actually, this is bizarre. This might very well be around the 5th anniversary of this podcast, because I do believe the first podcast that my wife and I ever recorded was after the first Winter Is Coming, when Sting debuted. That's how fucking long I've been toiling along at this thing, right? So it's like the thing of, I knew eventually that it could gain ground. Like I was like, okay, if I stick with it, and the best thing is the feedback I got from these people, because I don't even remember who it was, and I feel awful, but somebody was like, when the thing happened with my wife, where like her job is just too chaotic to do a fucking podcast every week. She's in a crazy, crazy business. It just wasn't feasible. And I almost just did away with the show. I really almost did. But for whatever reason, I stuck with it. And here we are. And somebody finally was like, I like kind of your shtick. It's like wrestling NPR, which I am not going to make that claim of myself. Trust me. However, someone was like, it's like that, right? Like it's like a little weekend update moment, right? And that was when it clicked. And I was like, that's my angle. That's what we do. We're not sitting here doing 5-hour podcasts, folks. We're not sitting here trying to break down the nuts and bolts. I don't have the mental capacity for that kind of thing, but I can tell you what the fuck's going on in a glimpse. And what's going on in a glimpse right now? I mean, we talked about Sicko's Club killing it right now. But AEW is fucking killing it right now. I feel like they have taken the challenge on of, okay, WWE, you want to go out and you want to fucking play games and, basically do it without not doing it, buying TNA, the WWE ID system, which no one can even figure out what the fuck that even is. I mean, you're not in NXT, but they're watching you. It's like the new, I mean, you want to talk about a fucking cock tease. Like, the fact that people aren't fucking raking WWE over the coals for this kind of premise. Think about it. When you break it down, this shit is so Bernie Madoff. Hey, we're signing you to WWE ID. Oh, great. Oh, my God. I'm Jack Cartwheel. Okay. What does that mean? Oh, so it means that you're going to continue to do shitty indies, and we're not going to bring you in to do anything with NXT or WWE, but you can have your matches watched by Sean Waltman, and he might email you. What really? Oh, but we'll give you a graphic because we gotta snipe that from fucking AEW because that worked, and it's also 5 years too late on that even. Oh, thanks. Oh my God, thank you. Let me kiss your ass, Hunter. Oh. Come on, people. I cannot believe. Even I almost fell for it. I was like, oh man, WWE ID, great opportunity for these young stars. Is it? What are you doing? You're just doing the same shit you were doing. I guess they're watching you. I guess better than nothing. Not knowing that William Regal and fucking Sean Waltman are watching your matches for Hunter because he's just too good to watch your shit. He's too busy, fucking over there kissing the ring of the Saudi fucking government. I mean, I guess in theory it makes sense. Or maybe Shawn Michaels, after he's done, literally picking TNA talent like tulips, maybe he'll shoot you an email. Probably not. It's probably going to be an assistant. Probably going to be like somebody like Jeremy Borash. I don't even know if he still works there. Probably. I mean, I don't know what else he'd be fucking doing. There's not a global force for him to fucking use his drone in. No hate on Jeremy Borash, by the way, but, it's like, ooh, you want to talk about the guy that was fucking literally murdered by the TNA ick? It was fucking Jeremy Borash. He actually had talent, and holy fuck, it's like everywhere he goes, is that Jeremy Borash? Holy shit, he's working in NXT? Oh, God. Poor guy, man. Anyway, maybe it's not poor guy. Maybe fuck him. We'll get into his former boss very soon, and I got some hot takes on that. Let's just jump into it, folks. Last week, AEW Dynamite from Knoxville, by God, Tennessee. I was so shocked that their very esteemed mayor didn't make an appearance. I'm sure that had nothing to do with the evil empire that old fucking Hunter's got over there. I'm sure it has nothing to do with pettiness. Also, I think he should be smart enough to know that the AEW audience would be the last audience you need to be in front of. I think there might have actually been a physical fucking assault occur in that building. I love the Knoxville Coliseum. Great look. This is 2 weeks in a row. I feel like WWE is just, or WWE, my God, Freudian slip, right? We were just talking about old Glenn. I think that's why I did that. That's great, though. Yeah, so 2 weeks in a row, though, of really fun fucking venues. You know, the week before was Cincinnati. This week, fucking, we got Knoxville, both, smaller buildings, but it just looks great on TV. That was the only thing that bothered me about AEW last year, was so many times you would see these tight shots, and I was like, man, if only you could pull out a little bit on the shot. But of course, you're not selling the buildings the way that you should be selling the buildings. And, this is the reality of that. Just real quick for you goofs out there that might be listening that are like, but ticket sales. Do you not understand two things about what is going on in the world of 2025? Our economy is literally collapsing in front of our eyes, folks. And on top of that, Ticketmaster is the biggest fucking evil of live entertainment of all time. They take over these buildings. They get exclusivity on fucking ticket sales. And quite literally, you cannot do business in live events unless you fucking basically suck the fucking teat of Ticketmaster. And that is why these ticket prices are so bad. Now, there are things AEW and WWE could do, like lower the initial price. But they're not going to do that because I go back to the economy is shit. They got to make their bottom line too. And I understand. It is a business first. I think that's something a lot of fans really do forget. And that doesn't mean that you have to be insidious. It doesn't mean that you have to fucking fuck your fans. But it does mean that if you're going to do live events, you're really going to have to scale down what you do. And by the way, even WWE has done this to a large extent as well. You don't see them running the Intuit Dome every goddamn week for fucking Raw. I mean, there are times Raw and SmackDown are in Duluth, Minnesota, right? Like, that's just how it is. And that's okay, because I'll tell you this, I love wrestling better on TV in smaller buildings. I understand pay-per-views and you want to sell those tickets, and that's great, and it looks great on TV too, but week to week, I'd rather do what AEW is doing right now and have the smaller buildings. It's more intimate. These crowds sound better. I think the main problem with AEW was everyone was shitting on the crowds, but I think you should be shitting on the venue being half empty, because that's clearly not going to help your response. It's going to be echoey. It's going to sound like shit. I mean, I don't know. I think it's way smarter to go to the Knoxville Coliseum than, say, go to Nashville at the Bridgestone Arena where the fucking Preds fucking play and only sell 8,000 tickets. Like, why not just... It helps everybody. And I think, too, it helps the wrestlers, right? Because the morale has got to be better now that they're running fuller buildings. I mean, God, I would hate to do this fucking show and, like, no one ever say a word to me about it. That would be the worst. We started Knoxville Dynamite with old Toni Schiavone in the ring, looking dapper as he does. And old Willard Ospreay came out, and he's coming out with old Kenny to talk face to face, and they go into it. Will's like, I know we don't like each other. I respect you though, and I need help with Don Callis' family. And if I don't get help, I can't even get to Moxley in the World Championship, which is my ultimate goal. So I hate to say it, I can't do it on my own anymore. I need your help, Kenny. And Kenny then proceeded to verbally abuse this man and literally say, hey, by the way, it took me almost dying for anyone to know who you are on the mainstream. Basically, it was like, fuck you. You stabbed me in the head to beat me at Forbidden Door. I don't trust you as far as I can throw you. And I could throw you pretty goddamn far. That's not verbatim what he said, but it's basically what he said, folks. You can trust me. And he did use his own thing on him. He's like, if you're asking for an apology and my help, no way, bruv. Like that. And just as you're like, these two are going to fight, this is great, out comes the snake himself, Don Callis. He comes out. He doesn't even get to say fucking anything else, and Omega is on the run at him. And I love that. I love that they've made it an on-site thing, right? Like, this is beautiful shit. I like that, because that right there, you want to talk about, no one can do storytelling in AEW. That's fucking storytelling right there. The little things, like, oh, and now I don't have to explain to a new fan, oh, they really hate each other. Well, no shit, he didn't even let him fucking say more than 4 words. Big take, though, Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher blindside Omega. It's a 2-on-1 beatdown here. And Ospreay's conflicted. He's like, fuck, do I help him? Do I help him? I'll help him. And he gets in the fight. And we get a fucking crazy Donnybrook brawl here. And it goes out to the fucking, out to the people. They're out on the floor. And of course, Brian Cage and Lance Archer get involved. You think this shit is fucking done. Omega and Ospreay hit a double fucking suplex on Archer through the merch table. That looked awesome. And then the wildest shit ever. The stereo. Well, it wasn't quite stereo. The timing was a little funky, but we find out later that Omega is deathly afraid of heights, is probably why this wasn't as cool as it could have been. Omega does a moonsault off the lighting rig. And just as you're like, wow, okay, Ospreay does an even crazier one from the goddamn balcony. And they go up. They go up to the lighting rig. I did love this. This is ECW shit here, where they're like, up in the eagle's nest. I love this. Omega's like, you know what, Will, you're right. I need to apologize. You were right all along. This shit has gotten too far with Don Callis. So let's do it in Australia. Me and you, Ospreay, against Kyle Fletcher, the hometown boy, and his boy, the international champion, Takeshita. I will say this. I think this might be the greatest opening segment in the history of Dynamite. And there's been a lot of great ones, folks. And that's covering a lot of ground. But this felt like, oh my God, this is pro wrestling. I watched this, and that was all I thought, was like, this is such a beautiful example of pro wrestling. So great job for everybody, because even the heels were there for all of it. The big guys were there to be fucking huge and look great. Of course, Archer took that double suplex like a champ. Everyone was there for the double moonsaults. Nobody got hurt. That's most important right now in wrestling. My God, everybody getting hurt. And with that said, JD McDonough, obviously get well soon for him. That disgustingly scary Asai moonsault to the floor where he just snapped back into that commentary table. Now we know. Broken ribs and a punctured fucking lung. But this is the scary part of pro wrestling. And the other thing is, match should have been stopped. I mean, if we want to give criticism to everybody, let's give it to everybody. WWE, I think, made a huge mistake there, and they're very lucky that he did not get more severely injured than he was. And a punctured lung is pretty fucking severe. So, yeah, with that said, nobody got hurt in the opening segment of Dynamite. Unfortunately, on Raw, someone did, and, thankfully it's not a more tragic situation. John Moxley in the back with Yuta and Marina Shafir, and he's just shitting on Cope. And I'll say this. I think that Moxley's promos are very hit and miss. It's either like a killer one where you're like, yeah, fuck, this is why he's a top guy. That's why he's the top guy in AEW. Or it's just fucking overplayed and just long diatribes. And this wasn't that, but it also wasn't a killer promo. This was just kind of, to me, it was a bumper. It was a bumper for the opener to get into this World Tag Title match, and that is what really got this show to ascend to another level. Private Party defending their championships against the Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. And I cannot think of another entity, whether a singles wrestler, a tag team, or a fucking stable, that has gotten so over so fast with AEW. The Hurt Syndicate, they have the people with them. It was just crazy because the whole thing is they're these bully motherfuckers. They're dressed to the nines. They insult everybody. They're fucking, they're total assholes. But the people love it. It really does feel like a Four Horsemen thing, kind of, in the sense that, they're dapper, right? They come out, they literally dress like the Horsemen from like 86. But they, just like the Horsemen, go in there and they're fucking the best wrestlers. Bobby Lashley is a guy that, I'll be honest, if you go back on this podcast even years ago, not a fan. Did not like his work in WWE at all. But now I see why I didn't like his work in WWE, because he was so limited. They never let him do the amateur shit that he's great at. They never let him be in peril either. And it's because he's this huge guy, but like being a huge guy, look at Brody King. He's a huge guy too, but he sells and he's dynamic and he can really work a match. And now we know, I knew from TNA and stuff, Bobby Lashley could work, but it's like, when you don't see that for years and you see it again, you're like, wow, it's amazing. And Shelton Benjamin is literally Benjamin Button of wrestling. I don't understand how he looks better than 25-year-old guys in the business. But this match was fun. This was exactly what I was hoping it would be. It was just a beating. Zay and Quinn, they never gave up, though. They never gave up in this match. They looked great as just the babyface champions. And a lot of people were upset, and I will say the booking of this made it very conflicting as a fan, because you love Private Party because they've been the homegrown team and they finally got to the fucking pinnacle of tag team wrestling in AEW. But like I said, the Hurt Syndicate is just so fucking cool, man. And early on, Private Party showed a little fight, until Lashley just fucking destroyed Zay through the announce table. We also got a beautiful double overhead belly to bellies on the floor by the Hurt Syndicate. And at that point, it just was their match. There was a little bit of hope where Quinn hits a 450 on Benjamin, but Bobby's right there, and it didn't take long. The fucking German suplex into a spear by Bobby in tandem. 1, 2, 3. We got brand new AEW World Tag Team Champions. Hurt Syndicate win the belts. And this is another one where it's like, bravo, Tony. You didn't overbook it for once. Because there's been a lot of times where we've been in this similar situation with new talents or whoever, and the trigger doesn't get pulled. So good on him for going, listen, it's a tough decision. We love Private Party. But honestly, I believe Private Party will be better in the chase. Now, when they win their second titles, it's going to be even bigger. And listen, you can't deny Hurt Syndicate. They are so fucking good. And Knoxville was there for this. I mean, this was a very special moment, also because of them, because of their reaction. So, beautiful, beautiful moment there. We get the announcement that Mariah May will go face-to-face with Toni Storm in Jacksonville on Collision. We will get to all that soon. Oh, and then backstage, Alex Marvez with the last outlaw, Jeff fucking Jarrett. Karen's crying about, don't do the shit you did that got fucking AEW and Hot Water weeks ago. Last week, Jesus, I feel like it's been I've been in a vortex. That goddamn promo with him and MJF was so bad and so annoying. And everything he does is so fucking annoying. But of course, Tony Khan can't help himself. We do get Jeff Jarrett down in the ring with that microphone. And he says some stuff, and I stand there mad I didn't stand there. Actually, I did stand there for some reason. I don't know why I vividly remember standing in my bedroom, full disclosure, watching the show. Definitely a beer was in my hand because I can't handle him. And he just goes into this weird story about Jerry Lawler, who's not even in the company. It was just bizarre. Again, just meandering shit. he goes into some bullshit. I'm gonna take care of you, Mox. Hey, Max, I'm gonna whoop your ass, boy. And then he's like, all right, Moxley, come on out. And he gets fucking walloped from behind and gets hit with the fucking European uppercut. And Claudio's like, nah, you don't get to fucking... He's literally the gatekeeper, which I love. You don't get to fuck with Jon Moxley. You got to get through me next week. So we'll get that, where fucking Claudio's going to carry him, and for no reason. Back to good shit. Swerve Strickland against AR Fox one more time. I love AR Fox. I've always been a fan of AR Fox. Going back to Dragon Gate USA, I believe, might have been the first place I ever saw him. And if it wasn't that, it was very closely after that Evolve, which I've heard that WWE's bringing back. Great. But yeah, AR Fox, awesome. I mean, I've always thought that he's like a perfect fit for AEW style too, and he has been. It just feels like he's had a bad shake, right? Like, it just sucks. Swerve is on another level, though. I was talking to somebody at my job, actually, this random dude that I really had never talked to. He must have saw a wrestling shirt I had on when I came in or something, but out of nowhere, he was like, you like wrestling? And I was like, yeah, I do fucking like wrestling. And we're talking, and, you know, like most, what I would, you know, not an insult, but what I would most call a casual fan, you know, he mostly wanted to talk about WWE, and so I did that, because I do, you know, stay informed on that. And he was like, yeah, there's that other place. And I was like, it's AEW. They're from Jacksonville. And I go into my fucking spiel. And he was like, yeah. And literally, I didn't say a word. He goes, I really like Swerve. And I was like, damn, Swerve is one of their top guys. Maybe their top guy. Because when a guy that doesn't even watch your product, the first name he said was Swerve. And then right after that was Hangman. So people can say what they want about AEW doesn't have a clue. They can't build stars. Well, they built two. Because I don't care what anyone says. Swerve was never a star in WWE. Ever. He was a guy at best that was in the cusp of maybe something. He came to AEW, and people have to remember, when he came into AEW, he was not loved. People didn't give a fuck. When he came out in Revolution, I believe 2022 was when he was announced, it was a very lukewarm reception. People were like, okay, the Hit Row guy, so what? You know? And that shows you how quickly almost 3 years can change something, because no one would ever think that now. And that's exactly what we have here. It's a beautiful little match, and, you know, it wasn't long. It shouldn't be long. No offense to AR, but like I said, Swerve is one of their absolute top guys. He makes quick work of him. But in the middle of the match, Ricochet comes out with his scissors, because he's got to be a creepy motherfucker. And this is when I will say this. During my little musings online, I mentioned to somebody like a week ago, maybe, I swear it was before this, I was like, you know what I kind of want this whole Ricochet Swerve thing to end up being? Because everyone thinks it's going to be a Hurt Syndicate adjacent thing. And I said, well, what if they swerve us, no pun intended, and he goes the other direction, and Christian Cage helps him beat Swerve? And everyone's like, why the fuck would Christian Cage, like, be interested in him? And he cuts a promo the next week, and he's like, yeah, you know, everyone's worried about, like, why did I give a fuck about Ricochet, this little creepy bastard? But that's why. I was always considered the creepy little bastard in the other place. Look at this fucking guy. And I love it. And just have him be like the stepson. Quite literally. Like, you know, I'm not fucking your mom, like with Nick Wayne, because let's be real, that's the whole gimmick there. And I don't know if it's true, but it's a little bizarre, because I don't know why she's here. And then Kip Sabian needed guidance, right? So he brought him in, so he's already adopted. But the stepson gimmick would be hilarious, right? Like, he's my stepson from the other place, right? Genius. I think it would be fucking funny as shit. I like those little weird wrinkles, right? Because I was also a fan of like R-Truth and Judgment Day. Like, have a guy that doesn't fit, make it work. Now, I'm sure they won't do that because that would kind of make this whole Ricochet Scissors, fucking Jeffrey Dahmer thing kind of a silly gimmick. And I don't think that's good long term, but for my pop and my own amusement, I would love that. Ricochet literally holds up Nana with the scissors to the jugular, which I was like, whoa, that's crazy that in 2025 we still can do that. I'm fine with it. I'm not the guy to complain. I was just like, damn, he's talking about gutting people like fish, and that in Atlanta there's gonna be a new landlord, rent's due. I like that. I'm all about this. I love the Ricochet swerve thing because Ricochet immediately feels important as a heel. He didn't as a babyface. He was just like, the new guy. Cool. Okay. We get Jericho again, and it doesn't even matter about him because Big Bill, thank God, is like, you know what, Hobbs? You fucking beat us last week, so I'm going to see your ass Saturday. MJF comes out to the ring. Thank good Lord Jeff Jarrett is not involved, and he basically says, you're a fucking loser, like we all know, and Claudio is going to beat your ass. And then he's about to go into some more shit about how stupid Jarrett is, and Hangman interrupts him. And we get a beautiful face-to-face. And this, to me, is the move. I am all about Hangman and MJF going forward. That is where we need to go. We don't need this fucking MJF old man withers shit. I don't get it. I don't understand why Tony does this, where these old guys infiltrate his fucking booking mind and he just like loses it. He's done this so many times, like with Flair. Let's bring Flair back just to be a barker for Sting. Who ever needed that? So fucking weird. So Paige kills Tyler Shoop, apparently, the poor fuck that had to get murdered, and he did. And out comes old Christopher Daniels in a neck brace, and he says, listen, I'm not here to fight. You've been right for a long time. I pushed you to the Texas Death Match Saturday. You fucking killed me. My doctor said I'm probably not going to wrestle. So you know what? You won my last match, and I hope you can be happy. And Hangman actually shows, I don't know if it's remorse, but it's emotion here. And I like that. See, again, I like what AEW is doing. They're going back to what in their early days I think they did best, which was they had a very limited roster. So because of that, they had to create characters from scratch. And that requires things like this where little wrinkles. You can't just present somebody as a superhero if you don't have any real platform. Like, the reason that Hogan worked for fucking Dickhead back in the 80s was because he was clearly the biggest star. And they had TV, and it was already this huge stage, and here's the huge character. That was a huge place without a huge character. Whereas with AEW early on, it was this new small place, but they had Jericho. They had the Bucks, they had Cody, they had stars, but what they didn't have was characters. They didn't have people to relate to yet. It was kind of a flip-flop situation. So you saw guys like Hangman evolve and MJF evolve, and that's what I think AEW does best, but they got lost somewhere. And now it feels like we're getting back to that. Like, instead of a brand new announcement, I think, and everyone said it back in the day, and some of us defended it, and I think maybe we blindly did so because it was this new, beautiful thing. But I do agree with the sentiment that a lot of people have had about AEW for a while, which is, you don't need a new hire, a new debut to pop your crowd. Give them special moments. And I think that's where AEW falls short. Like, give us title changes more than you do. I think, and I would argue that that's AEW's biggest problem, is they hang on to titles on people for too long sometimes. Like, if it doesn't work, take it off him. And with that said, that is not the case with this next person. Renee's in the back with AEW TBS champion Mercedes Moné. She absolutely deserves this title. She's great, and if anything, she's about to have to level up to the World Championship. She is on another level, and I love what they did because, you know, a lot of people have been talking about it. I know the All Elite Wrap-Up guys have been talking about it. If you haven't listened to that show, go check them out on YouTube. They're fucking phenomenal. That it's time for someone to challenge Mercedes, not just be put in a match with her. Like, who in the back of the women's division wouldn't want to just step up? Like, fuck it. And we get that, actually. Harley Cameron interrupts, and she just straight up says it. She's like, I think I'm ready. I'm going to challenge you. And Mercedes, like the boss she is, like the diva she is, was like, nah, I'm good. You're not, nah, we're not doing that shit. And basically laughs her off. This is beautiful because now this sets us up for the Harley Cameron Ascension angle. And I think it's time. She has been very good in everything she's been put in for months now. I mean, she made a fucking Harley-gram a thing where she put on a fucking hologram mask to wrestle fucking Thunder Rosa. I mean, good lord. No one could have made shit like this work. The fucking acoustic guitar thing, the goof deal. She's awesome, and she got better in the ring. So I'm all for this. And then we get the big women's match for Dynamite. Jamie Hayter, Julia Hart 2. And this was great. This was much better than their New Year's Day match. Definitely seems like Julia Hart just wasn't 100% there. It was just her return moment. Get it done so that we can move on. It seems like Julia Hart, she may not be 100%, but she's definitely much better. She was all over the place in this one. Putting on the Flying Octopus, hitting all sorts of moves. And of course, Jamie Hayter put her through her paces, can't speak, with a million Germans, throws all over the goddamn place. And finally, Hayter smacks her with the Haterade, gets the win. We are now 1-1. And after the match, I really like this. This is something they don't do a lot. Hayter grabs the mic. She's like, listen, I know you're fucking weird. You go to the beat of your own drum, but you're tough. You're tough, bitch. And you win one, I win one. I have respect for you. And when you want the third match, you've got it already. And there's like this respect thing. I like that. That gives the women's division like oh my God, like this is a really highly contested thing, right? Like these matches mean something. Like Jamie Hayter's like, I didn't just beat some bitch. Like she's great. I like that. Powerhouse. All he has to say about Big Bill earlier. Jacksonville's where I got my start. I'll be there in the parking lot. Whoa. Very excited for that. And then, of course, Swerve has to say some shit about Ricochet. And then the vignette airs of Brody King, Buddy Matthews, and Julia Hart. And it is announced they are their own entity. They are the Hounds of Hell. This was a great vignette. And that led us to the main event of the night. The Rated R Superstar Cope against the AEW Trios Champion, the Bastard Pac. This was a really good, fun match. It made me think back to, man, if only Cope would have been cleared back when fucking Pac was in WWE. They would have had killer fucking matches. Because here, Cope's a little older. I don't think he's in bad shape. Again, when guys get older, they get a little slower. At that time, maybe it would have been a faster paced match, but this was very good. And that's what makes Cope good and great, is that he can do enough athletically that you don't really notice that, like, this is a much slower paced match, like Pac also is the perfect guy to be bumping around like crazy here. And this was very good. I will say this, I don't think it should have been the main event. I have been fervent on this. I think the tag brawl thing should have been last. and this should have been first. I think that would have been fine. But I just said it was the greatest opening in the history of Dynamite, so I don't think it was a bad move. Or maybe even, you know what? I would have put Jamie Hayter and fucking Julia Hart in the main event. Especially with the post thing that was surprising that, you know, it felt like this hate-filled thing and then Jamie Hayter respects her. I honestly probably would have put that at the end instead of this, only because it felt like the crowd was over it. To be honest, after the initial intro, seeing Cope, seeing Pac, that was cool. But we did get a great little moment where after Cope won with a TKO cutter, so going back to his roots, I believe that's his first finisher ever in WWF, which is interesting. He beats Pac like that. Death Riders are on the screen. They're still beating the fuck out of the Rock and Roll Express and FTR now. So that's pretty great. And then we realize, oh, that's fucking taped. Oh, shit. They are swarming Cope live, and Switchblade, Jay White, returns to make the save. But it's just the numbers are not there. Hangman apparently doesn't give a fuck anymore about this. You know, Orange is dead, I guess. I don't know where Orange Cassidy was here. Dead. And yeah, they're both beat to fuck, and the show ends with Mox choking out Cope. Okay. I'll say this. If they really are gonna build Cope and fucking Moxley all the way to March 9th, oh man, I don't know. That's a little too long for me. I say you should have the first match of fucking Australia. That's what I would do. Get it over with, because then you can add layers to this. Because right now, it just feels like just fucking wrestle. You're just beating each other. Like, it is falling flat for me. I'm not going to lie. It feels a little weird. We are now on to Collision in Jacksonville, Florida. Daly's Place, one of the coolest venues in the fucking business. I will go to my grave saying that. I love Daly's Place. On a good day, because I was there one time in July and I wanted to kill myself. God, it was so fucking hot. But I've also been in that motherfucker and it was 40 degrees, just like it was Saturday. I was not there Saturday. I'm kicking myself. I wanted to be there. Work did not allow that. I was very salty. However, I did get off in time to watch my boy return, Samoa Joe, his first match back in AEW since, I can't even fucking remember. Like, after he lost the title, I believe. So, like, the spring. Against Nick Wayne. We got old Christian Cage, Kip Sabian, and Mother Wayne over there. And this was just a sacrifice. Nick Wayne got a lot more than I expected, though. Joe definitely put him over as like, you know what? This kid's going to be something. However, right now, he's not. And I'm going to hit him with a muscle buster, and you're done. Kip and Christian try to fucking get out there. But Hook and Shibata come back, so we're bringing that trios back together. I always say it's the proto conglomeration. Yeah, I think it is the proto conglomeration. And then, I mean, Tony Khan said, okay, you know, you thought Dynamite was insane. We're just going to do a casual champion versus champion match now. Okada against the ROH World TV Champion Commander, and this was great. This was like, oh, by the way, in case you forgot, Okada did do Excursion in Mexico, so he can do all that cool lucha shit, and he does here. All sorts of back and forth. You got fucking hurricanranas, you got neck breakers going on, and it's a whirling dervish. Commander hits a poison rana. It looks like, holy shit, he might actually be doing this shit. He hits the tightrope moonsault, but it's nothing. Okada's like, you know, I'm tired of playing with you. And he just nails the Rainmaker and wins this one clean. I love that coming out of the Continental Classic, Okada is, I mean, he's quite literally like the fucking standard bearer in the ring for AEW right now. And he should be. You know, they really put over, he's the most winningest fucking the winningest tournament wrestler of all time. And that's true. I mean, my God, his G1 pedigree is insane. And just his one Continental Classic, the fact that he beat all those guys and fucking Will Ospreay in the final, I mean, he's the guy right now. So I like this. Commander, hey, he was sort of thrown into the Continental Classic last second because Juice got hurt, and he made do. He had great moments, and he got rewarded with the World TV title in Ring of Honor. I hope that they, keep making him a priority over there. I like that he gets to do these matches. I mean, granted, he didn't get all that much, but he definitely fucking gave Okada his best offense. I mean, that says a lot. So definitely not buried, but domination by Okada still. And then we got a beautiful moment. The parking lot brawl. Powerhouse Hobbs against Big Bill. And full disclosure, I love this trash shit. Like, I love brawls like this, just hitting somebody with a trash can lid, all that shit. Security gets between them, they get run off, and Big Bill's like, you'll see, I'm not done. I'm like, okay. So we get a little bit of a, spoiler, we get a little bit of a constant brawl throughout the show here between these two, and I love that. We have Big Justice and Big Boom back in AEW doing some things, so that's cool. Adam Cole gave a boom. That had to happen, right? When you have these guys and Adam Cole in the same universe, you got to do a boom moment. But yeah, a lot of people are down on them. Oh, the fucking TikTok guys. Hey, whatever, man. It's 2025. You can't be hater like that. Whatever's over, and those guys are over. Let's remember, their fucking social media shit from that Full Gear 0 hour eclipsed anything AEW did that night. Quite literally. It was insane. I was like, wow. So why not keep that synergy going? Tony Khan's a businessman at the end of the day, even though he does do administration for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and woo, brother. Their new head coach, it's a whole thing. He said Duval really, really stupidly, and now it's like a meme, and oh, dude. Wow. So, good thing AEW is working out for him. An Undisputed Kingdom in a trios bout against Daniel Garcia and his dad and uncle, Daddy Magic Matt Menard, and the returning Cool Hand Ange Parker, which... very, very cool. Coming back from paternity leave. And I thought that he came back just right where he left off. He's always been a solid performer. I mean, I loved 2.0 back in the day. Like, I was a big Chikara mark. So I saw these guys very early on. And then when they went to Ring of Honor, it was great. All that shit. I love them. I think they're fucking hilarious. I will say this. Matt Menard might be close to time to getting out of the ring. Nothing against him. I just mean, I think he's gotten to the point where his personality is better than his wrestling. And, that's just how I feel. So, this was very good. It was not very long. I think we kind of knew. Danny Garcia looked strong here, though. It was kind of like, it was, and this is going to sound like a knock, and I guess it is, but it did kind of come across to me like one of those old Von Erich multi-mans with their dad, where it's like, those guys look incredible, but fucking Fritz is just over there, this gross mass of an old guy. And I'm sorry, Matt Menard just didn't look wonderful, and he just was the weak link here, because I think Ange Parker was in good shape. He clearly stayed in shape as he was out, and I think he's the better performer in the ring than Matt Menard. I've always thought that, but yeah, this just felt weird. It's like, why is Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong like wrestling these dudes? So I'm glad that it was quick. We got the beat down. We got the fucking up down finish with Kyle and Roddy, and it feels like Undisputed Kingdom ready to go. And I would be all for them going against the Death Riders for the trios belts. That would be awesome, honestly. And I think that should happen. Honestly, hey, Australia, why not? Throw that up there. That makes Australia feel a little better. Max Caster's still upset about last week when he was dumped by Daddy Ass. Yeah, he... It's so funny. He goes, I got my back turned on, which is great because he came out fucking talking so much shit. And he's got an open challenge Somebody just come on, fucking try him. We all know he's going to lose. We're backstage with Top Flight, and it's like, whoa, really? They're getting time to talk. And they're looking for Leo and Action Andretti. This feels like the angle that never ends, to be honest, at this point. It's fun matches, you know. I love the fucking the coronavirus twins against fucking Top Flight as an idea. But do I need it to continue constantly? I don't think so. I do need this to continue constantly. The glamour and the AEW Women's World Champion Mariah May and Toni Storm face to face here. And this is the perfect example of a great story being told. This all starts right away where Mariah's like, listen, you're nothing. You're a joke. Everyone's laughing at you. They're not in on your little joke. Everyone knows you're just a weirdo, basically. And Tony's like, I'm your biggest fan. Like, you inspired me, and I want to be like you. And she goes to hug Toni, and she gets fucking slapped and gets beat down with the title belt. And I mean quite literally whipped in the back with the fucking gold. She then slowly rises. Her lipstick is smeared, and it seems naturally smeared. I think that just happened, which works perfect for her. And she just runs it completely all over her face then. And she cuts a Mick Foley promo about, I felt all this, now it's finally time. They say the hardest role you'll ever play is yourself, and what you've just witnessed is the performance of a lifetime. Mariah May, you may be the woman from hell, but you came from my womb. I'm timeless Toni Storm, and I'm going to rip you apart. I cannot tell you. I listen, I'm going to sound like a fucking loser to some people here. I got goosebumps just now reading that fucking shit. I love it. I love it. And it's weird to me, and I'll be honest, my wife's one of them. She doesn't get it. She's not about, it's not even that she doesn't get it. I think she gets it. She just doesn't care about this timeless thing. It is what it is, right? Everyone has their own. But to me, I'm like, this is literally some of the very best wrestling character work I have ever seen in my life. And I've seen a lot. I've been watching wrestling for like 31 years now. So this is wonderful. And this really makes Grand Slam Australia feel like a must watch. I mean, it already was something I was going to watch, but now it's like, fuck yes. I want to see this. I want to see what the hell they're going to do here. Just like what I am excited to see out of the Hounds of Hell. They get their new entrance here. It looks fucking awesome. And they take on the Gates of Agony, Bishop Khan and Toa Leona. This was a really good match. Just 4 guys that are athletic freaks going crazy. And early on, the Gates looked really good, but it didn't take long. Brody fucking just nails fucking Toa with a Death Valley driver. He hits the Boss Man Slam on Bishop. We got the Gonzo Bomb and the Meteora. Sliding Dropkick Cannonball combo is the finish. And these guys are like immediately like, whoa, we need them against Hurt Syndicate as soon as humanly possible. Like, give these guys some more character wins here, make them look stronger. But let's go. If that's Revolution, or, I'm cool with that. That's what I want now. Fucking amazing shit. Then, this is weird. I don't know where this came from. Penelope Ford and Thunder Rosa are in the back. And Penelope's like, you know what? I don't care about the past. You were champion. It was very weird. But I challenge you. I'm going to put you in the ground. And, okay. So now we get Thunder Rosa against Penelope. We don't have it tonight for Dynamite. Full disclosure, as I record this, it is before Dynamite on the 29th. But it just felt weird. It felt out of place. But then again, you know what? We're getting more women's segments. I'm all for it. And the next match is the 4-way to determine who goes on to face Mercedes Moné for the TBS Championship on Dynamite. It's the virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo. It's Queen Aminata, my queen. The Professor Serena Deeb making her return. And Yuka Sakazaki. This was awesome. And this was, again, a beautiful showing of how deep the women's division in AEW is. You can make room for a Queen Aminata every week. You can make room for Deonna Purrazzo, Serena Deeb. My God, she's been MIA forever. And Yuka Sakazaki kind of like reintroduced herself, I believe, to the AEW and American audience. Like, hey, I'm fucking great. The last time that we saw her really in any serious capacity, she hurt her knee really, really bad. I think it was against Cheetah for the title. And so I really am so glad that she was in this. She got to show her fucking, her wares. And remember, Harley Cameron was given shit, last Collision, I believe, from old Deonna and Taya Valkyrie. And she remembered that. She runs down to the ring. Deonna kills her, but it distracts her. And Yuka rolls up Deonna for the win. And Harley now costing people big matches. I mean, that's what I mean. They're really putting her in a good spot. So we officially have Yuka Sakazaki against Mercedes Moné for the TBS title tonight on Dynamite. Fucking awesome. And then we get the promo. Buddy, and he's saying, you know what? We're the Hounds of Hell. This is great. Okada walks by. You bark like a bitch. It's fucking great. And Buddy says, how about you put that belt on the line? Okada straight up just says no, which I love. Yeah, well, I guess you're the bitch. And of course, Okada's like, fuck, you got me. Damn. Got me. I'm done. And Big Bill comes out to the ring and says, you know what, Powerhouse? Fuck you. That shit earlier was some bullshit. The security was the only reason I didn't kill you. He didn't say all that, but that's what happens. And then they come out and they're beating the fuck out of each other. They start beating the shit out of each other. And we noticed the whole time throughout the night that Big Bill had this fucking backpack on. And I was like, okay, whatever. But it's not that. It was a knee brace inside the backpack, which is like, okay, cool. And Hobbs gets busted wide open. Just fucking busted open. They're continuing to beat the shit out of each other. And it leads us to the double table spot. Both guys just go through. They get fucking killed. This was great. This is what I love. This is what I love. Then we have a cool little sit down thing with the Don Callis family. I liked this. It was in like a creepy little house, the little round table situation. And, Cage is like, hey, don't worry. Like, we got this under control, Don. Well, we got to fucking think about Kenny and Ospreay together. Well, we got the numbers. We got 5. And we end with Callis saying, well, who said we only have 5? And the rumors are already swirling that perhaps Kota Ibushi might be turning on his good friend Kenny. I would be all for that, by the way. That'd be fucking cool. We'll see, though. It does feel like this is blood and guts. I don't know when they want to do that. We're getting to where you got Grand Slam Australia. That's your next big event on the 15th. That's a Saturday, so that'll take the place of a Collision. And what else? We've got obviously Revolution. I guess they could do it there, but that seems funny. Maybe. They haven't done that yet. They haven't put Blood and Guts in a pay-per-view yet. So that could work. I don't know. I feel like with Tony Khan, though, he's going to definitely want to make that a standalone intellectual property. I think he wants to continue to make that a special event. I think it's smart to do that, too. Don't waste it. That's the problem with WWE. They just throw Hell in a Cells on whatever, and it's garbage. This was not garbage, though. The main event of the evening, the International Championship, Konosuke Takeshita defending against the fucking wrestler Katsuyori Shibata. This was everything it needed to be. I guess in a perfect world, it could have been longer, But I'm not going to complain about Takeshita and fucking Shibata on my TV one-on-one. They beat the ever-loving shit out of each other. And I mean, Takeshita just really cemented in my mind in this one. He is the best performer in the ring right now. Maybe in the world. But in my opinion, it's him and Okada tied in AEW as the best. I really believe that. And he shows it here. He weathers the storm. Shibata beat the shit out of him. And he's rocked. He's beat down until he finds a way, hits the spinning Falcon Arrow, and gets the win and survives with that international championship. And that leads us to tonight. Dynamite live in Huntsville, Alabama. I've been there before. It's all right. We got an MJF promo. Ooh, let's hope it's Hangman related, not the old man. Will Ospreay against Brian Cage. We know that'll be great. Wheeler Yuta against King Switch, the man Jay White. Very excited to see Jay White back. I expect that to be great. Jeff fucking Jarrett against old Claudio. If he wins, he gets the world title match. Ugh. But what I hope is the main event, and whether it is or not, it will be the true main event. The TBS Championship, Mercedes Moné and Yuka Sakazaki. I clearly have Moné winning this, but I think at the end we're going to get a new challenger. I don't know who that might be. I think Claudio does the job, unfortunately. It isn't a good situation. Ospreay beating Brian Cage. I think that happens. Jay White better fucking beat Wheeler. And as usual, there will be more announced. This isn't going to be it. This is fucking Tony Khan we're talking about. So that's it. That's what I got to talk about this week. Wild week in wrestling. Some crazy developments going on. And it feels like we are under a new era of AEW, and it is absolutely for the better. So until next time, pop in a wrestling tape. My Lord, let's go back to 1993 then. Pop in a wrestling tape. Go study All Japan. Go study the cool shit. Whatever's your blinder. Go learn something new about wrestling and come back to me next time.